So one of the most drummed up characters in One Piece in a long time, Kazuki Oden, has finally been revealed in One Piece chapter 960, but also I'm going to talk about 959 briefly because I did miss out on last week's review, and overall just where the story is headed right now. I think waiting for Oden all this time, I definitely got to say at the very least, characterization wise, this dude is freaking nuts, and getting the reveal of everything that we got in this chapter about him, it was insane and definitely telling as to why the Pirate King himself, Goldie Roger, wanted a dude like Oden to rock with him. This dude, no limits, no parameters, does whatever, and I rock with that heavy. Let's go talk some of that One Piece greatness! No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. Okay, so the previous chapter 959, it was taking place 2 days before the final battle, or it started off that way, where it was getting, a little bit more information, because obviously a chapter before that, it was like, hey, where's everybody at? There's nobody here for this battle, and of course we found out that Orochi just masterminded all of this shit to block off every entrance to Tokage Harbor, but it seemed as though they were building things up. Some comedy in the chapter. I thought it was dope to see Luffy, like, just his change in persona when he got the armor that they found, and he was like, yo, we're gonna slice through this, we're gonna do it. I'm like, okay, Luffy, I see you, bro. I get it. I love that comedy stuff, because that chapter had, despite the fact that the past couple chapters, to be honest with you, this one was more so exposition for the past and Oden's character, but the previous chapter was more so comedy mixed with giving us insight into, just, again, more exposition. 2 exposition chapters, but the latest one was probably a bit more interesting because we've been waiting to hear about Oden forever. That one, though, like, the battle between Sanji and Zoro. Sanji always got, like, I don't care, that's one of the greatest rivalries in anime and manga. Like, they always teasing each other, don't get me wrong, and that's why I like it. It's a friendly rivalry, they'll protect each other any day of the week. But when Sanji's like, oh, you ain't gonna wear no armor, I understand, you gotta make up that gap in bounty, and he slices through a piece of the mountain, they go in. Like, I'm still gonna say all day, don't get me wrong, character wise, being honest with you, as cool as Zoro is, I love both of them. I love both of them. I gotta stress that, because, like, it's One Piece, baby. Yeah, the cast is amazing, but in terms of power wise, even though I'm more of a Sanji fan, like, I actually probably would go with Sanji in terms of just how much I like the character, how much he's been through and everything. Not that Zoro hasn't. Zoro's been through some stuff, but power wise, I think Zoro still would take on Sanji. Like, don't let that bounty fool you. We've seen it time and time again. Bounties is just like, a number that's made up by the government. That don't mean nothing, Black Lady. Don't get too carried away with, our boy Roronoa. He will put you down. So it was nice to see that they have still, a little bit of back and forth. And again, adding some comedy in a very dark situation. You know what I'm saying? Getting a little bit of that flashback. We kind of needed a little bit of that, because, like, seeing Kinemon the chapter before crying and screaming out like, what the heck? And this is a 20-year plan that seemingly in their minds right now just went down the tubes. It's all messed up. So I appreciated getting a bit of comedic humor, and even in the latest chapter as well, I think we needed it, because it is very stressful. Things have been very serious. A lot of the information we've gotten of how dire the situation is right now, like, yeah, a little bit of room to breathe is kind of nice. I know maybe some people are like, hey, because I've seen people, yo, let's just get back to the Straw Hats again with like 960, but hey, the comedy is good. We need some laughs before some big deaths go down. And that chapter also foreshadowed a little bit more about Jimbei, which, to be honest with you, Oda, at this particular point, if you're not going to make Jimbei become a permanent member of the Straw Hats, because it's been since Fishman Island that Luffy gave the offer, Jimbei always says, hey, I got something else I got to do, I'll be back, or, he even stood behind, what was it? Was it Whole Cake when he stood behind so that Luffy and them could get away or whatever? So it seems as though Oda's done everything he possibly can to not have Jimbei completely join the crew, and Luffy's again like, man, Big Mom is here with Kaido, and Jimbei hasn't gotten here yet, so what's going on with Jimbei? Getting a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, gotta criticize a little bit where there's room to criticize. Jimbei's, oh, is he dead, is he not? Oda's playing around too much with that at this particular point. Just, I'm imagining towards the end of the chapter where, or, when the explosions was going down and whatnot, I'm imagining that maybe Jimbei was the one who saved the Sunny. I'm imagining that possibly, or not that the one who saved, because it hasn't been shown if the Sunny was saved or not, but I'm pretty sure Jimbei probably saved the Sunny or something along the lines of that. That was foreshadowing with Luffy kind of just bringing up Jimbei again. But the way Oda plays with it already, like, there's been multiple fake outs for Jimbei of like, is he gonna make it, is he not, like, where is he, was he, I forgot which arc it was that we thought he might have been beheaded or something like that. It was probably the beginning of Whole Cake, if I'm not mistaken. So just let Jimbei live, fam. Stop getting our emotions all twisted up, man. And we also got a little more insight, which would eventually give us a bit of backstory, or a nice idea of the relationship that would become with Kinemon's wife, Otsuru. In this chapter, we get a little bit of insight into that, which I'm pretty sure because she went away with those bandits because she was trying to cover up because she knew the plan that was going down. So even though that town or that city was blown up, I'm pretty sure Kinemon's wife is still alive. She left with those bandits to try and give room for them to, you know, do whatever. I don't think that Kinemon's wife is dead. I don't think that, I mean, it'll be tragic or whatever, but to introduce this character, and as long as Kinemon's already been in the manga waiting to be reunited, give this man a happy ending. Come on, don't do that. So I don't even believe it anyway. If I don't see it in One Piece, I don't believe it. Just like I'm still like, Sabo's not dead. Don't play with me, fam. We lost Ace. I'm not losing Sabo. And then it leads into 960, where we go 39 years into the past, and we see that Oden was not that liked. A lot of men didn't like him. He was a chauvinist to a certain degree, a perv, and every time he would return back to, Wano, he wasn't really greeted kindly. It seemed as though like there was some people that worshipped him, mainly the women, but a lot of people didn't mess with him. And then that brings us into chapter 960. Because 960 starts off with just giving us an idea of, man, the devastation that Orochi and Kaido really put forth into Wano, of how Wano back in the day was gorgeous. Grass everywhere, just beautiful trees, vibrant, good water that they could drink from. And you see Wano of today and what it's been like for quite some time now, a destitute place with people starving on some fucking Sanji and owner Zeph type of deal. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of Wano now. So it just, again, even further drives home that Orochi and Kaido really ruined this once beautiful place. And probably back then it was okay that they were closed off from the rest of the world because they had everything they needed. It was a beautiful community. Now not so much, or not at all really. Like, open them gates, fam. And a couple of things with 960, to be honest, Charles, more so into all of the stuff that had to do with Oden, which it kind of tied into it anyway. But we see a younger version of, I believe that was Kinemon's wife, and these bandits brought this white pig, which honestly, when I'm explaining it to even thinking it to myself, it sounds a little bit silly, but basically the pig is a rare pig that could go for a platinum coin, which that's enough to build a whole house. But it just showed the difference, and I'm kind of curious why his hair color changed to black. But it shows the difference in Kinemon's character. I think that was one of the biggest things. It shows a lot of change, and I guess you could argue growth. He became a man compared to what he was back then. Dude was stealing money, the wallet out of his own future wife, his childhood friend. What the heck? I think a lot of everything that went down at Wano from the years moving forward from this point in time is what really will make Kinemon kind of man up and become the honorable man we know of him today. Even though it also shows that some of that is still in him if you think about it, because Kinemon was a little bit pervy when it came to Nami and stuff like that, when he would be like, you got nothing but a breast band and all of this stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of it has to do with the character development he gets from here, but still some of that, I mean, look, he was abandoned. Not only he was trying to steal money from what would be his future wife, then he steals the freaking rare white pig from these bandits. So Kinemon definitely a huge glow up, from being just this petty bandit, this petty thief, to an honorable dude that eventually serves Oden and stuff like that. And I think that this is giving us an idea of the beginnings of that relationship, what happens towards the end of the chapter. But I like that Kinemon really is just such a different person now. I'm just curious what happened to get that hair color change, because it looks like his hair, I don't know if it was blonde or it just is, obviously there's no color to it. How the hell you go from that to having full black hair? What happened, fam? It's not like the reverse where trauma turned his hair white. You know what I'm saying? Like, what went down? Did he get some hair dye, or did they need to change their whole look in general? And that's how, Anyway, let's carry on. And then we get the exposition into who Oden really was. And this is where I'm like, okay, Oda definitely is making Oden's character live up to the expectations. Because at the end of the day, we are getting such a laundry list of what a badass monster this dude was. As his father, one of the shogun at the time of Wano, is hearing the rundown of, Yeah, at 1 he kicked across, his nurse. At 4 he was fighting bears. At 6 he was banned by the Yakuza. At 9 he was drinking. At 14 he had a change of heart, but then flooded the town on, the list that we got. I was like, if we're gonna get a info dump in a way, even though it didn't feel like an info dump, but let it be something hilarious like that, because it made me look at Oden like, yeah, you were a pirate at heart from the beginning. And the fact that he tried to escape 38 times at that particular point, he was desperate to leave Wano, which this is a classic story that I've seen time and time again in anime and manga, where people are bound to their hometown, this small town, or whatever the case may be, and are desperate to leave. So Oden falls into that category of, he really wanted to leave Wano. Mind you, at 14 again, he had a change of heart and became less like, a drinking, violent dude to more so an honorable dude, even though he would still mess things up. Nevertheless, he wanted to leave Wano real bad, and we've seen him in talks with Roger and them talking about opening up Wano's borders because he wanted to change things. But the shit about him at 15, how he was stealing women, and they weren't mad, like they could have leave whatever they want, but he was stealing women to have his own harem and had dudes after his neck. I was like, Oden, so you a real one. You a real one. You a nasty dog. Like, I love it. Like, that just made me look at Oden's character like he's 10 times more of a badass. And, like, he was stealing women. He was he was a monster. Like, at 4 years old, he's fighting bears. Like, what's going on with this dude? We even got to see a younger Hyogoro, which at the time, it seems as though he kind of had beef with Kinemon and stuff like that. But, like, he even looked like a badass when he was younger. Like, obviously, he wasn't that, because dude is old as shit now. So, he 39 years ago, he still looked already like he was probably in his 40s at that particular point, maybe 50s or whatever. But just seeing that he was even willing, like, Kinemon was a scoundrel. Like, Kinemon was bottom of the barrel, that even Hyogoro was like, yo, skin this dude, catch him, don't fight him one-on-one, but catch him, skin him, he's done, he's terrible. And going back to Oden, like, I'm curious how much more of an impact and aftermath this is going to have in terms of the fact of his father had a disowned letter for him. So at this particular point in the story, his father already had it with him. And then, of course, the ending of this chapter is going to push things even more because, well, first of all, we get to see Denjiro, which is one of the 9 disciples of Oden. And he was an interesting fellow, to be honest with you. Like, I'll probably dive into it more in a future video. But for now, it seems as though we're getting every piece together now, slowly but surely. Again, these chapters, especially 960, is giving us more history. It reminds me of like I guess the Skypiea arc with Nolan, that people thought he was a liar. I think that's what this arc kind of feels like. It feels like it's this interpretation of that type of storytelling of flashbacks, but I like Oden 10 times more than any of those characters. Like, again, Oden is just a monster, bro. He's a real one. That's what I gotta keep calling him. He's a real one. And the foreshadowing from the beginning of chapter of a moving mountain, turns out it's the little pig's father, that he's as big as a mountain. And seeing that Oden tells Kinemon and Denjiro, give me that pig, he's probably going to take a lot of the blame for this and possibly have a big fight. Maybe he's going to use this opportunity to have this pig break down the borders of Wano. Something might go wrong or whatever, but either way, honestly, the characterization that we got and exposition for 960, I love Oden. I love Oden already. Like, I think that this dude is a monster. Character design, cool. He looked very similar to his father. So once we saw his father, it was kind of like, oh, so this is Oden, after shadowing him out for a while, which I don't know why Oda does that, if it's just like, hey, he's a cool looking dude. But either way, I guess it was to build up the suspense. Like, 960, 959, 960, cool chapters. 960 getting finally seeing who Oden was, and this legendary samurai warrior that we've been hearing about for so long. He was a badass, and I'm curious to see if my theory from a few chapters ago, is he still alive? I mean, this doesn't sound like a man that would have died by anything typical. I mean, again, he was disowned, so who knows what happened with the Shogun, and again, Orochi and everything, and Kaido, but Oden, monster. I love it, and I can't wait for more. But I'm curious what you guys thought about the chapter, though. How did you feel about Oden's misogynistic, pervy, crazy ways? What do you think about his character? What do you think about Denjiro? How do you feel about Kinemon? Kinemon just seemed the difference of, like, this dude was just he was a scoundrel back then. Like, yo, what the hell? He was a bandit, a thief, and all that. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of One Piece with chapter 961 and beyond. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and woo, I'm excited to see more of what Oden has done and what they got in store for us with this character. I really hope he's still alive. Have an awesome one.
Enjoy the next ride, but I was the best ride. But I